there, thanks for joining us. I'm Alexandra Lewis.
I'm Kyle Clark. Aurora Public Schools is on day 2, no internet, no phone service. Today, the district said that there was suspicious activity within the network Monday morning.
9 News reporter Janelle Finch joining us live. Janelle, right now the district says they don't know when the systems will be back online.
That's right. We've received a number of calls and emails from APS families and even some staff members. They say the outage affects everything from being able to take attendance to printing out worksheets. The district says they identified possible suspicious activity in the network, so it had to protect its systems. Since then, the internet and phone services have been offline. The district says it's working with third-party experts to get the internet back. An Iowa elementary parent says she's concerned with how this could affect her child's classrooms, especially in case of an emergency.
It will worry me if I can't contact the schools through like Talking Point and or by telephones when the systems are down. And only thing that I might have to do is go up to the schools, and I had to ask a family member to even take me to even see about my child.
The district says it does have access to contact information for families, and even though phones are down, the PA systems are still working in the classrooms. APS says it will continue to monitor the situation through the week and determine if classes will need to be canceled. Janelle Finch, 9 News.
It was another chilly day across the metro area. Temps will climb this week for a little bit before that Arctic blast hits us this weekend. 9 News weather impact meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen joining us, tracking these frigid cold temperatures.
Yeah, that cold front from the Arctic is going to get here on Friday evening. It's just a matter of, is the coldest core part of that air going to hit us or just slide us to the east? Either way, we're looking at the coldest air of the season and our first negatives. When you look at the satellite picture now, you can see this air that's been pushing in from the north starting to dry up here, and that is going to leave us with a very clear day for most of the state tomorrow and quite a bit of sunshine. Now, we'll take a look at the next couple of days here, focused around the National Western Stock Show forecast here. 47 for tomorrow and 55 on Thursday. So take advantage of those if you can, because those will probably be the last 2 warm days until February. Here's some highlights for the Arctic blast here coming up in Denver. We're looking at staying below freezing for likely at least 91 consecutive hours. The lowest temperature I have right now in the forecast is -10. That'll likely be on Monday morning, but it could end up being on Tuesday morning. The coldest wind chill, 30 below 0, and the snow totals we're looking at about 3 to 6 inches over the course of 5 days. More coming up in just a bit.
Denver's mayor is using his veto power to block an ordinance that would expand access to needle exchange programs. Those sites allow people who use drugs to exchange dirty syringes for clean ones. Denver has 3 of them. City Council says there needs to be more. Mayor Mike Johnson disagrees. The bill passed council on an 8-5 vote just yesterday. It would have allowed an unlimited number of providers to operate in the city and would have removed a distance restriction requiring sites to be at least 1,000 feet from a school or daycare. In a letter to the council president, Mayor Johnson said tonight there's no need for an unlimited number of providers and said that there are exemptions available on that distance requirement. City Council could override the veto, but they need to come up with one more vote.
Liquor store owners say they can't compete with big box stores throughout the city and the state anymore, so they have a new plan to survive.
And 9 News reporter Spencer Soyser's along now to talk about a new bill that the liquor stores are lobbying for in this legislative session. Spencer?
Yeah, it was one of the first bills that was announced in the new legislative session that started last week. It would limit the new liquor licenses for new drugstores. It's not the first time that these independent liquor stores have tried something like this, but they hope this time it passes.
How are you today? Okay.
Ever since Colorado voters approved wine in grocery stores,
Thank you for shopping local.
small independent liquor stores say they've been getting hammered.
We all thought it would hurt us, but it ended up being absolutely devastating to our industry.
Bruce Gallagher owns Bonnie Bray Liquor in Denver. He bought it in 2020. Then voters passed Prop 125 in 2022.
We don't really know what the way to slow the bleeding is, but what didn't help was putting wine in grocery stores.
Bruce is part of the Colorado Independent Liquor Stores United Board. They've got lobbyists pushing for a new idea to try to save the independent market. Senate Bill 33. The bill would stop the state from issuing liquor licenses to new drugstores and pharmacies and limit how existing licenses are used.
It'll decrease the expansion of anybody that has a drugstore license from gaining access to full wine, full liquor portfolios to sell.
Albertsons and Safeway have their own lobbyists who have indicated they oppose this bill. They sent a statement to 9 News saying in part that this bill would take away the rights of consumers that Coloradans explicitly voted for. While Bruce acknowledges they can't beat the big box store prices, the mom and pop shops are not done fighting.
It won't stop the bleeding, but it'll slow the bleeding, right?
Thank you for shopping local.
The Colorado Independent Liquor Stores United Board says that they tried something like this last year, but it didn't get through. They hope that this time around in the legislative session, it works. Live in Denver, Spencer Soischer, 9 News.
Health officials in Boulder are warning about a potential hepatitis A exposure at a popular restaurant on the Pearl Street Mall. Boulder County Public Health says it happened at Rio Grande Mexican restaurant. The potential exposure is linked to drinks that contain fruit juice, like margaritas and mimosas. Health officials say if you drank one of them on either December 30th or January 5th, you should make sure you are vaccinated against Hep A. Health officials say there's no longer a risk to the public, but you should know Hep A is highly contagious. It typically spreads when germs from feces contaminate something you eat or drink. Symptoms appear within 2 to 6 weeks.
President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, faced questions today at Capitol Hill about accusations of sexual assault, alcoholism, and financial mismanagement.
I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real, and God forged me in ways that I know I'm prepared for.
Pete Hegseth.
In front of the Senate Armed Services Committee, the Fox News host and veteran pitched himself as a change agent to lead the military. Hegseth said in the past that he doesn't think that women should serve in combat.
What do you have to say to the almost 400,000 women who are serving today about your position on whether they should be capable to rise through the highest ranks of our military?
I would say I would be honored to have the opportunity to serve alongside you.
Hegseth said it's about holding everyone to equal physical standards to serve. This evening, Republican Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa said that she will back Hegseth for Defense Secretary. That greatly increases the likelihood he will be confirmed. Committee set to vote on his nomination January 20th, same day Trump will be sworn into office.
Now a look at the U.S. Capitol. Flags have been flying at half-staff following the death of a president since the Eisenhower administration. Today, Speaker Johnson announced flags will fly at full staff at the Capitol for the presidential inauguration happening Monday. The flags will be lowered back to half-staff the following day to continue honoring President Carter until January 28th. Johnson's announcement comes one day after Texas Governor Greg Abbott ordered flags at the state capitol and other government buildings back to full staff for Trump's inauguration. Governor Abbott cited a federal statute calling for the U.S. flags to be displayed on Inauguration Day. NBC News will have live coverage of the inauguration of Donald Trump on Monday. You can watch the historic event from the heart of Washington, D.C. on NBC starting at 8 a.m. our time. The Department of Justice has launched an investigation into the Douglas County School District.
Let's bring in 9 News reporter Rachel Krause. Rachel, so this comes out of civil rights complaints filed over a matter of years. We'll get to her. Just hold on a second.
We just do hope that we'll see positive changes out of this.
It's been more than 2 years since Emily Harvey and the Disability Law Colorado team filed a complaint with the Department of Justice over the use of restraints and seclusion used by Douglas County schools. She says it's mostly used on kids with disabilities as a way to manage behaviors.
You know, a student is having behaviors related to their disability and they don't feel welcome or safe or comfortable, and so they act out, and then the response from the adult is to put them in a room by themselves and not let them come out, which is equivalent to solitary confinement in prison.
According to the 2022 case they filed, an 8-year-old student with special needs was put into a closet used as a calming room as many as 4 times a day, with the door held shut for up to 55 minutes at a time. Harvey says these practices happen around the state, including within Dougco schools.
We often hear about these practices where they're not calling it a seclusion room. They call it something like the calm down room or the quiet room or the blue room. In the situation that we knew about, seclusion was happening and the parent wasn't being told about it. And so that was concerning to us.
Emails obtained by 9 News show DOJ investigators are in town this week and requesting interviews with anyone involved.
A lot of families were planning to talk to the DOJ, from what I've heard. The investigation that they're conducting now is about seclusion and restraint, but also about disproportionate racial harassment and other things.
But the direction and scope of their investigation isn't clear.
It sounds like, based on the communications that went out last week, that they are seriously looking into all of those issues.
Harvey says the DOJ has taken up seclusion and restraint in schools before. She hopes they'll require Dougco schools ban those practices here, and that investigators will take a hard look at every complaint facing the district.
We're hoping, yeah.
The DOJ declined to comment on this. I reached out to Dougco Schools about the investigation. They released a statement saying, in part, any student or parent who has a concern should report it immediately. We take every concern very seriously as we're dedicated to ensuring that all of our students and staff experience a welcoming and caring environment in our schools. Rachel Krause, 9 News. A man was cited for what he said to police. A civil rights lawyer tells us he didn't do anything wrong.
Prep basketball is the show this time of year. Coming up in sports, we'll take a look at the top 5 prep plays of the week.
And 9 News meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen will join us again as we look ahead to that frigid forecast.
Have to be everywhere because mornings are busy and you don't have time to waste.
Huge news for Colorado's 8th congressional district. Democratic incumbent Yadira Caraveo has conceded to Republican challenger Gabe Evans.
Traffic updates and breaking news live from the scene.
35 minutes for your commute between I-70 and I-25.
The 9 News morning team works hard overnight to prepare you for your day.
Our crews are staying on top of conditions as this develops throughout the morning.
This may be a historic November snowstorm.
This is my Denver. What's yours?
It started with police joking around after a traffic stop and quickly escalated with some words that we can't say on television.
9 News Investigates Kevin Vaughn has the story of what led to a legal fight over the bounds of free speech.
Open the door from the outside, slowly.
As traffic stops go.
Anybody else in the vehicle? Step out of the vehicle now.
This one was anything but routine.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
And it spawned a story.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry. I'm not signing anything.
Of the difference between rights and a wrong.
When you know you did nothing wrong, you did nothing wrong.
A story that may one day be told in a courtroom.
These cops are going to end up in federal court explaining to a federal judge why they don't understand the Constitution of the United States.
Walk backwards.
A story that begins on a Tuesday afternoon in October in Montrose.
Is this too tight?
Montrose police arrested 2 people in a gray Kia, a car rented months earlier but never returned.
She thought he bought more time with the rental company.
Oh, okay.
A routine bust until the moment officers discovered a sex toy in the junk-strewn SUV. One of them stuck it to a fender, as if it was an X-rated radio antenna. At that point, those officers could go home with a war story. You won't believe what happened today at work, but Josh Smith was hungry.
I usually always get a Reese's Polar Swirl.
And the only thing keeping him from that frozen treat were the cop cars.
I could barely squeeze through to get into the drive-thru.
Clogging the drive-thru lane.
And I just rolled my window down and I yelled.
Yelled he did. But for one officer,
Quit yelling or you're going to get a citation, understood?
there was nothing funny about the hubbub at Humdinger's.
Out of the way, I'm ordering my food. Quiet, order your food.
As I was sitting there waiting for my food, I kind of just realized, like, he just threatened me and I didn't even do anything wrong.
Dinner in hand, Josh Smith had more to say.
What's the problem?
Stop blocking the road. They said nobody can get to the drive-thru for a half an hour.
And then a question.
What's your name, man?
There is nothing prohibiting someone from using basically any language they want to protest the actions of a police officer.
Enter civil rights attorney David Lane, who's representing Josh Smith.
Can't be flipping people off.
The United States Supreme Court decided that back in the 70s.
I'm gonna go stop them. Okay. Write him a ticket.
$120 ticket for making an obscene gesture.
Have a wonderful day.
I was just trying to tell him to get out of the way. That's all I was trying to tell him to do.
The city attorney later changed the charge to interference with police, saying it accurately reflects the evidence. According to Lane, that's just plain inaccurate.
Yelling at the cops, calling them idiots, calling them names, and flipping them off doesn't interfere with anything. It just hurts their feelings.
It's just like they're extorting money, $120. That's not a lot of money to a lot of people, but then they just pay it rather than go to the court.
Josh Smith is going to court Thursday. And it's a safe bet he'll have plenty to say.
Oh, a ticket for what? Dump. That's why you're getting a ticket. Keep your mouth shut, please.
Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
An attorney for Montrose offered to dismiss the criminal charges if Josh Smith agreed not to sue the city. Smith's attorney said the officer was unethical, and he rejected it. We reached out to the Montrose city attorney, but we have not heard back.
Aurora might take another go at having a speed camera program in the city. Their first program started in 2022, ended last April. It cost Aurora more than $500,000 and only brought in $115,000 in revenue. City leaders say they lost money because they had to pay somebody to be there to operate the cameras. That also limited the time when the cameras could operate.
It's difficult to hire somebody to sit in a car for 8 hours at a time. It was difficult to hire, and it's also just expensive. It's one of the things really driving the cost.
At a work session last night, City Council talked about changing an existing ordinance so that nobody's actually required to physically be there to operate the camera, and that would allow them to be working 24/7. It's expected to take a couple of months before they arrive at next steps.
A middle school in Colorado Springs is falling apart. I mean, it is so bad the building is expected to be closed for the rest of the school year. You can see the damage to Jenkins Middle School in these pictures. I mean, cracking and separation between walls and floors. The school is shutting down Friday. Students and staff will now have to relocate. Plans for that are still up in the works. The building will be closed until all of those problems are fixed.
The work to cool down a smoldering underground coal mine in Boulder County is now complete. Colorado Division of Reclamation, Mining and Safety started digging below the Marshall Mesa trailhead and taking out hot coals back in October. That coal mine's been closed for about 100 years, but there was still this bank of hot coals about 10 to 30 years beneath the surface. The fire had been burning underground for a century. The site is near where the Marshall fire started. It was investigated but not found to be a significant factor in the fire. Hadn't been completely ruled out as a contributing factor. So this work is meant to mitigate the future risk of fires. The site's now been fully excavated, just needs to be backfilled and graded, and the work is on track to be completed next month.
In 1 week, several wildfires have burned more than 60 square miles across Los Angeles County, California. 24 people have died and 37 others are considered missing. 13 million people remain under red flag warnings tonight due to high winds. The National Weather Service has also issued the same rare, highest level threat advisory that fueled the devastating Palisades and Eaton fires. That goes into effect early tomorrow. We're working with the Red Cross to raise donations for the survivors of those wildfires. You can scan this QR code on your screen, or you can text CA Wildfires to 90999. That will direct your donation for wildfire relief in California.
Let's turn to meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen. Corey, the danger here is going to be cold. Want people to take it seriously.
Yeah, you really should. I mean, for most of us, maybe some inconvenience or some uncomfortable weather, but for plenty of people out there, this will be hazardous type of air into the negatives once it gets below zero there. It's really concerning. It's been a cold month already here in Denver. Already 11 cold days as noted by these blue boxes. We'll have a couple of warm ones tomorrow and Thursday. Take advantage of those because we might not see that warm air again for a while. We have an Arctic cold front coming here on Friday, lasting all the way until Wednesday, and we won't have much time to warm up before a next little Arctic blast comes in towards the end of the month. So we're going to finish just as like we started cold here in the Denver area. Forecast highs for tomorrow, though, we're finally looking at an opportunity to get above that normal high temperature for the year, for this day. Over here on the eastern side of the state, looking really warm, and some of these temperatures up in the mountains are also slightly warmer than normal. So we'll start watching for this Arctic cold front being unleashed by the polar vortex. Keep an eye on this aqua color here, as noted here by the polar vortex type of cold. It's going to come sliding down here over the course of the day on Thursday and into Friday. Now, you might have seen that just little skate there at the end where the bulk of this starts to push towards the east of Colorado. So there's a good chance that that first initial wave, we could skate that -20 temperatures, which are in here. But watch as the second lobe comes around here, and that gets us on Sunday night into Monday. So we are still looking at that probability of getting some of those extreme cold temperatures in here, and it's going to come with some snow here. Friday night into Saturday morning, we'll have a good 1 to 4 inches here in the Denver metro area, and then it could snow lightly through the day Saturday into Sunday, and then Sunday night into Monday, we get another potential 1 to 3 inches. So we could have 3 to 6 inches by the time that we're all done with that. And here's on the 7-day forecast, let me explain this. So we now know there's a good probability that that cold front's going to come in here about 6 p.m. on Friday, but I'm leaving this as a potential day because I'm just not totally convinced that it's going to be high impact after that front. So we will start to see that snow, though, start to form, and that's what we'll be watching as that impact goes into Saturday. And the temperature basically starts from 43 on Friday and gradually drops through the day Saturday and then into the Sunday morning here at -3. So that's a pretty steep drop there with snow also in the forecast. So we have the high impact days on Saturday, Sunday, and that cold air is going to last all the way into Monday. Monday morning could end up being the coldest temperature here, but we're trending down here on Monday night into Tuesday morning. This could also end up being a -10 temperature. So we have potentially here, most likely going to have impacts from this Arctic blast on 5 consecutive days. So as the data comes in, we'll keep updating you on that forecast as it develops. More a little bit later on tonight.